Hey there everyone, SQ here. Today we're going to be talking about some DNF Duel. This game just came out very recently, I've been playing it a lot. And today we're going to be doing a starter guide for Dragonite. This is a character I've been putting all of my time into. I think she is really fun. And honestly, there aren't a lot of resources out there to help people get into the character. So I'm kind of hoping that this video will serve as a way for people who are just trying to figure out what she does and also get an idea of how to maybe get started with her and how to improve with her. So in this video, we're going to be talking about what type of character she is. We're going to talk about what moves you're going to want to kind of pay attention to when you're learning her. And then also near the end of the video, I'll give you guys some basic combos that you can follow and get started with. Alright, so what type of character is Dragonite? I would say she has two main strengths that kind of define her as a character. The first one being mobility. She has above average run speed on the ground, which is pretty nice because honestly, a lot of characters in this game are kind of on the slower side. And kind of as a bonus to this, she also has pretty fast normals. A lot of her normals are on the faster side. This game's kind of notorious for having pretty massive hitboxes, I would say. She doesn't quite have that, but what she does have is she has very fast movement speed and faster buttons. Those massive hitboxes that characters have usually come at the cost of being slower in startup. So her mobility and the speed of her normals kind of let her keep up with that. However, the real kicker for her mobility is actually the fact that in the air, she has access to a flight mode in her JD. From the flight, you can move back and forth. You can't go up and down. You can only go back and forth. And out of this flight, she has access to an air dash. You can air dash back. You can air dash forward. You can cancel the air dash early by just pressing a button if you want to. This is very nice for her to have because I would say generally in this game, honestly, jumping is not very strong. There's a lot of moves in this game that anti-air people, even just by accident. They don't even really have to be actively looking to anti-air you. When it comes to Dragonite, I would say she's kind of an exception to that because she has such strong air options, not just air dash, there's other things we'll talk about later, but the air dash and the flight in particular are very nice to have because it allows you to bait anti-airs, it allows you to change up what you're doing in the air. Very nice to have. Her other defining characteristic is the fact that she's kind of a puppet character, though not really. She has her little dragon friend that she can send out to the opponent. And by pressing either A, B, or S, you can issue the dragon a different command. All of these commands are very useful. The dragon pretty much helps her massively in neutral, in pressure, in combos. It's kind of the other half of her character, right? First half is like the flight and the mobility. The other half is the fact that she has her little friend here to back her up. It's not really a puppet because you can't control where the dragon goes or anything. You can only issue it follow-ups. Otherwise, it just automatically tracks where the opponent is. But all of the follow-ups have a lot of uses, whether it's neutral or OP or combos. And it's very nice to kind of back up the rest of her game plan. All right, now that we have kind of the general idea of the character out of the way and we know what we're working with, we need to talk about kind of her individual moves and what ones are going to be important and what ones you're going to want to focus on when you're picking up the character. First off, we can talk about her 2A and her 5A. These are kind of just her fastest options. In particular, her 2A is 5-frame startup, which is very fast for this game. And it's a low, so it's not just good for disrespecting your opponent's offense, but it's also good for high-low mix-ups because it's such a fast low. Her 5B is one of her main pokes and pressure tools. It's forward advancing, which is pretty nice. It's very fast startup. And you'll notice that it kind of hits pretty high up into the air, so it also works as like an anti-air or people are trying to like up back out of your pressure or whatever. Very good at catching people just trying to take to the air, honestly. It's also only -4 on block, so it's very good for pressure because if you ever make your opponent block it, they kind of have to worry because it's forward advancing. It leaves you right next to them, right? So it's strong for pressure, it's strong for neutral, very good conversions when it hits people for the most part. The other main button you have in neutral is going to be her 5S. This move does not look that great. It's not as big as some of the other crazy moves that exist in this game, but this move is honestly so clutch. I use this move a lot and it is deceptively good. You can very easily hit confirm it into her 4D, which will give her a knockdown, which you can take into a safe jump to start your pressure. It's not as crazy as some of the other things in the game, but don't overlook this move. It's very nice to have. It's kind of just like your poke in neutral, right? Like if you're trying to keep people away from you, you think someone's going to approach, you use the 5S. If you're trying to approach, if you're trying to get on your opponent, you're going to use 5B. And then also, I'll just kind of mention her 2S as well is kind of one of her main anti-airs. It's pretty good. It has a massive hitbox that hits behind her head, and it does a lot of damage when you start learning her optimal combo. As for her grounded special moves, the first one we have to talk about is, of course, her Dragon Friend. So this is 5D. Whenever you press 5D, it'll send out your dragon, and the dragon will just go to wherever the opponent is. It just tracks them for you. You don't control it or anything. And then after pressing 5D, during the dragon startup, you can issue it a command. Sometimes getting the command that you actually want is kind of awkward. A lot of people ask me, like, how do you get the follow-up so consistently? I'm gonna be real, to get the follow-up I want, I just mash the button. I usually press it like 2 or 3 times just to make sure that the command goes through. The dragon's like kind of weird in that way. I know a lot of Dragon Knight players kind of struggle to get the follow-up to come out. But all the follow-ups are pretty good. For the most part, if you're playing neutral, the ones I would suggest using are the A follow-up, which is a series of mini fireballs, which is pretty good, or the B follow-up, which is just one big fireball. Something to note about the dragon, by the way, is it does not go away if Dragon Knight gets hit. So your opponent really has to worry about the dragon in neutral because it won't go away if Dragon Knight gets hit. So if your opponent wants to deal with the dragon, they have to worry about you and the dragon. If they just hit the dragon, the thing that's nice about this move is that Dragon Knight recovers so fast from sending out the dragon that if your opponent wanted to, like, you know, they see the dragon coming at them, they want to try to 5A it or something, they can't do it super safely because you can just run in behind the dragon and then punch them for trying to hit the dragon. Kind of on the other end too, if the opponent wants to hit you, they have to make sure that whatever they do also hits the dragon, because even if your opponent, like, let's say you send out the dragon, your opponent jumped at you and they got like a full jump in or whatever, the dragon will turn around and shoot the fireball at them because it doesn't care that Dragon Knight is getting hit. So it's very good in neutral for that reason as well. The S follow-up, I would say, is mostly useful for pressure and combos. The S follow-up is kind of just a flurry of attacks. This does a lot of guard bar damage, which is good for pressure, and it also locks the opponent down for a very long period of time. So you can get a lot of mix-ups going behind it, which we'll talk about a little bit later in the video. So that one's mostly like a pressure and combo move. The other ones are mostly neutral and combo moves. Honestly, if you're just kind of starting out with Dragon Knight, I would suggest just throwing the dragon out there and seeing what happens, because it's just pretty reliable, and a lot of people don't really look to hit the dragon, so you can get a lot of kind of free ins in neutral, right? You just send out the dragon, they block it, and now you're in, right? And you get to start your offense. So dragon is very, very nice to have. For her other special moves, she has her 6D. This is kind of her one big move, right? This game is kind of, like I said, notorious for having massive moves. This is her one big move. It's not quite as strong as some of the other ones in the game. It obviously does go very far, and it also hits pretty high up, so if someone tries to jump it, they'll get hit by it. On hit, this move is not that rewarding because you don't really get that much off of it. You can kind of run up a little bit, but it doesn't really give like a hard knockdown or anything on normal hit. If you counter hit them, however, it will give you a hard knockdown. So on counter hit, you can just run all the way in and start your offense. So this move is mostly used to call out other big moves. If someone's like trying to throw out a projectile or something, on counter hit, you know, you can just kind of run in and start your turn just like that, which is very nice. I would say not to overuse this move. A lot of Dragon Knight players, I think, kind of overuse this one a little bit, but it's really only super good if you counter hit somebody out of something. It does help you control space a little bit. She has her 4D as well. This is mostly just a combo ender. There really isn't much else to use this move for. It is very convenient. Like, one thing that's very nice about this move, and I want to kind of emphasize this here, if you're just starting with a character and you're trying to figure out how to just like end combos or do anything, this move is your go-to. If you're ever in a situation that you have no idea how to convert something or what to do off of that hit, you can pretty much always just combo into this move. It gives you a knockdown that you can save jump off of. You just hold up forward and you will save jump your opponent. You just have to time in the jump in attack, right? This move is just very nice because you can just rely on it as your combo ender, which makes her, I think like doing the hard combos with her are honestly pretty hard, but if you're just starting with the character, you can just always rely on comboing into this move to get started. So just keep that in mind. There are situations where you have to use this move to kind of convert. If you hit somebody with something like this far away, that's really the only way to convert that type of hit. Other than that, it is just a combo. And then her last grounded special move is going to be her DP. This is 2D. Her DP is fantastic. It is fully invincible throughout the startup, so you can use it on wake up or during your opponent's pressure, and they have to respect it. This move hits really, really far, at least relative to the other DPs in this game. And you'll see that in the air, it's massive. This is like one of the best anti-airs in the whole game, to be honest. She has access to other ways to control the air, but if you're really just trying to figure out how to stop people from jumping, just hit this button. It's very easy. You just press 2D, And if your opponent's anywhere in the air, I promise they'll get hit. It's that big. Very, very nice. Now, when it comes to her air options, her JA is pretty good because it's fast startup. I believe it's 6 frame startup. It's a good air-to-air. You can cancel into JB, and then you can get very easy conversions from it. Mostly just kind of an air-to-air tool. Not really much else reason to press it outside of mix-up situations. Her JB is another very, very good air normal. It hits like deceptively far, honestly, and it also hits deceptively far down. This is the move that I press a lot of the time when I'm in the air. However, the big normal that we have to talk about is her jumping special attack, the Fireball. This move, I'm going to tell you right now, is going to be like 70 to 80% of what you do, at least in most matchups. This move is so freaking good. I cannot believe how good this move is. A lot of times Dragon Knight players will ask me, like, how do you deal with all these other moves in the game? And I'm like, you're probably not using this one. This is by far one of her best moves. It's fast on startup, at least relative to what type of move it is. The hitbox on it is massive. When it hits the opponent, it explodes into another hitbox that is even bigger than the original hitbox. And it launches the opponent. Bare minimum, you can just kind of run up and start pressure off of this. But a lot of the times, depending on the situation, you can combo off of it. And the other thing about this move is that you can cancel it into her flight. Even on whiff, it doesn't have to hit the opponent or anything. You can just cancel the startup right into flight. And this is so good. This means you can convert it pretty much from anywhere into whatever combo you want to do. It's a very, very good combo starter. On block, it is often a true block string. So if you do something like this, that's a true block string. Your opponent can't even DP or try to anti-air you. That's just like a free win during neutral if you want to. Obviously it costs a little bit of MP because you have to do the flight and air dash, but this tool is just so strong for the character. You can use it to whiff punish, like if you're dealing with like a zoner or something, right? You just kind of jump over the projectile, shoot your projectile, it's going to punish them, you flight cancel in, get your conversion, and then you get started, right? If your opponent like runs under it somehow, that it's very hard to do. Again, you can just go into flight and then you can back off if you want to, or you can go over to them, whatever you want to do. Because you can cancel it into flight, it makes the move so low committal. You can do it lower to the ground if you want to, and then go into flight immediately. You can jump at your opponent, like you're just going to do like a common mix up with the character is like, all right, I'm going to jump at my opponent, hit JB, right? Now your opponent's going to be like, okay, they're going to jump at me and hit JB. So what you do instead is you delay and do JC instead. So yeah, kind of her air buttons paired with her flight are why her air options are so strong. You get a lot of ways to mess with anti-airs, you get a lot of ways to keep your opponent guessing. Because this air dash is so fast that the opponent can't really react to it, right? You just do that, right? And you're in there. Between the air dash, between the giant fireball that she has, and between having just good air normals to back them all up, it makes her air game very, very strong. And it makes it very hard to just kind of like figure out what she's doing in the air. I would say, honestly, she's very good at keep away. And I think this is something a lot of Dragon Knight players don't really do enough, is that you can kind of play keep away with your fireball and your flight mode and just kind of run away from people if you want to. Just play safe. And then eventually, once they get frustrated, you just start going in, right? You get your turn started. So that's kind of it for like all of the important moves and like what you're going to want to do with the character in neutral. Just to kind of talk about her offense a little bit. Her offense, for the most part, outside of like some OP situations, is just a lot of like general stagger pressure. You're going to kind of delay your buttons a little bit. She can chain her 2A, which a lot of characters can't really chain their 2As. So that's nice for her. Again, she has her 5B, it's only -4 on block, and it pushes her forward, so you can kind of stay in the opponent's face if you want to. So all of her normals are kind of decent for frame trapping. Depending on how far away you are from the opponent, you're going to have to convert into her 4D. But otherwise, her frame traps are very strong, and her ability to kind of structure pressure with a lot of frame traps, a lot of staggers is kind of the main thing you're going to do with her. However, you do also have access to her dragon. And dragon in pressure is so fast, it's very hard to react to. And canceling a normal into dragon is like barely minus. It's like -1 or 2 as far as I can tell. So if you're just kind of doing pressure and you just decide to throw the dragon in there, once you're really good at staggering and getting your opponent like second guessing on what you want to do, just throwing in the dragon there and kind of stealing turns is very good to do with her. There's also other things you can do. You have access to her 4D, her 4S. This move is mainly a combo move, but you can actually throw it in pressure and then cancel into flight to get pressure. If your opponent's not really looking for it, they're going to have to respect it after that point, because when you do flight into JA, this is a frame trap. You're actually like plus unblock in this situation. And if they try to DP there, it's also a safe jump, so they can't just DP it. So she has a couple of ways to kind of steal turns in her pressure as well. And honestly, just pushing yourself out, like a lot of time I'll just do stuff like this and push myself away. And then from here, you can kind of mix in throwing the dragon if you want to, or like after you're pushed away a little bit, you can do stuff like this to get back in. And then also you have another option for frame trapping. After you push yourself away, they have to worry about this as a cancel option. Now, outside of that, she does have some oaky stuff that I kind of want to talk about real quick. With her flight, she has access to some mix-ups that she can do. I don't really know how strong they actually are, but whenever you make your opponent block like a safe jump or something, or if you get them to block the dragon, you can go into her flight and start running high-low mix-ups if you want to. So the real mix usually is that you can do flight into JA immediately for a pretty fast overhead. You can do flight into air dash JA for a delayed overhead. And you can also do flight into air dash JB. The JB will whiff and then you go low. So this is kind of like the main crux of her high-low mix-ups. So once you mix that in, you start mixing it in pretty well. You can also do stuff like, you know, air dash into throw or something. It's just kind of like another thing you can put into your Oki, and your opponent's going to have to think about it. So her pressure is kind of a mix of like some high-low stuff with her flight. There's a bit of stagger pressure with her fast buttons below recovery. There's mix-ups of like stealing turns with throwing dragon out. And again, I want to point out that the dragon does a lot of guard bar damage. So you can also kind of pressure people in a way where you can just go for guard breaks if you want to. So she's not really the best at any type of offense, but she's pretty good at all the different ways you could try to pressure somebody. Anyways, that's kind of the general gist of the character. I'll go ahead and put some basic combo ideas on the screen for you now. Her combos are honestly pretty freeform. You can kind of just make stuff up on the fly. She does have some pretty long extended combos that are kind of hard to do. If you're interested in those, you know, you can just kind of work your way up to them. She does have a lot of easier combos that you can kind of just rely on, and like I said, I want to go back to the point that if you're not sure how to convert something or you're not sure how to end a combo, just going into her 4D is honestly usually a safe bet. It pretty much combos from any situation. It gives you your general good knockdown into a safe jump. It's just a very reliable way to end combos, and I think it's like the main thing that makes her easy to pick up. They can always just kind of rely on 4D as being like an easy way to convert something. Yeah, I think the character is a lot of fun. I've been really enjoying her. If you want to come and, you know, watch me figure out the character some more, I do stream over on Twitch 5 or 6 days a week. You can find a link to that down in the description below. Still trying to figure out the character, trying to figure out all the crazy wacky matchups in this game. If you did enjoy this video, please let me know down in the comments below and drop a like if you would like to. And please consider subscribing to the YouTube because it really helps me out. If there's any other videos you'd like me to do for DNF or just fighting games in general, or if you have any questions about Dragon Knight, you can ask me in the comments below, or you can hit me up on Twitch. I love answering questions. Yeah, that's gonna do it for this one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I hope it was helpful. I'll see you in the next one.